It's a historic day for the Supreme Court. The Apex Court has begun live streaming of its Constitution Bench hearings. Starting now, all hearings by the Constitutional Bench will be streamed live to the public, barring cases that involve national security. Ashmit joins us now to take us through the cases that were heard today. Ashmit, history in the making.
Indeed, in fact, exactly 4 years back, a bench headed by the then CJI, Justice Deepak Mishra, had held that sunlight is the best infectant and held that in principle, the Supreme Court is backing the idea of live streaming of court proceedings. But that took 4 years to, in fact, take effect. In fact, Justice U. Lal had a letter written to him by one of the petitioners in that case, which is lawyer and advocate Indira Jaising. And then it's on that count that we had Justice U. Lalit commit to this position, and then subsequently went on to say that there will be an independent platform, and not just on YouTube or any other platform, but there'll be a dedicated platform for these proceedings. But today was, of course, the first step, the first day of live streaming of court proceedings. There were constitution benches that were hearing issues such as the reservations on economically weak sections. That, in fact, was one judgment that was reserved today. There was also a dispute that was going on between the Delhi government and the centre, as well as the Lieutenant General. That dispute was also heard. Now that will be heard post the Diwali break. There's also the ongoing dispute between the factions within Shiv Sena. Not just that, what's interesting is that a notice came out in the afternoon which said that the challenge to the 2016 demonetization exercise will be heard by a constitution bench, which is also likely to be taken up tomorrow and is also likely to be shared on live streaming. So interesting times, these interesting changes. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. That seems to be the formula for now. But just a couple of caveats. The live streaming is currently restricted only to Constitution Bench proceedings. The other cases that happen on the other days, the PILs that we hear, unless and until they are referred to a Constitution Bench, which is 5 judges or more, they continue to be restricted. But for now, the first step has been taken by the Apex Court.
Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. Some of the other top stories tonight. Congress leader Sachin Pilot has arrived in Delhi amidst the ongoing political crisis in Rajasthan. Pilot did not respond to any questions by the media. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has informed senior Congress leaders that he was unaware of the incidents that happened in the last few days and called them unfortunate. Sources say the decision on a new chief minister will be taken after the 30th of October. Show cause notices would be sent to at least 3 MLAs. 50 world leaders, including Prime Minister Modi, attended the state funeral of Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. More than 4,000 guests, including US Vice President Kamala Harris, were in attendance. Prime Minister Modi also met his Japanese counterpart, Fumio Kishida. He expressed his deepest condolence over the passing away of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who he said has contributed significantly to strengthening the Indo-Japan bilateral partnership. Prime Minister Modi said the two countries are poised to deepen their partnership further under Kishida's leadership. NASA successfully crashed a spacecraft into an asteroid. The unprecedented test was an attempt to gauge NASA's capacity to defend the Earth in a doomsday scenario. Now, after seeing a severe shortage in supplies, the semiconductor space is heating up, with many players now keen on manufacturing chips. India has laid the foundation for global companies to set up semiconductor plants here. My colleague Ashmit Kumar caught up with Intel's Stephen A. Long, General Manager of Asia Pacific in Japan, and began by asking about the global race for chip fabrication and the upcoming plans for the company if they involve India. Take a look.
I would first start by saying Intel is very committed to India. We have been for over 30 years. We've got over 14,000 employees here in India at the top end of what we do in the semiconductor industry, which is design and develop the technologies for the future. At this point in time, we do not have intentions to get into the manufacturing realm, but we see ourselves doing a lot for the ecosystem. As a matter of fact, earlier today, we were here in Delhi with the company VVDN Technologies, signing a memorandum of understanding on how Intel can bring the semiconductor ecosystem to India.
There's a lot of work that Intel is doing in that direction. But as far as fabrication is concerned, if I can just ask a supplementary question, what is missing as far as India's pitch is concerned? The telecom minister, the IT minister argues that India has a huge pool of talent. So the question essentially is, what is missing in this picture? What will it take for a big company to, in fact, consider India as a part of this supply chain?
Again, I would continue to say India, you said it, the biggest asset that we see that India has is its people. 1.4 billion people of ambitious, highly educated, innovative people. And that's where we've chosen to invest at this point in time, the 14,000 people that we have here. If you add on some of our contract workers and all, that's over 25,000 people, over $8 billion of investments already in the country. And again, we see India growing faster than many of the other countries and more investments to come.
Let's talk about the global picture now. We're talking about a chip shortage. We have been doing so for the last good 18 to 24 months now. The question I want to ask is, are we finally nearing the end of that chip shortage? Is that something that you think is on the cards in the days and months to come?
We think we're probably another year to 18 months still into 2024. There's going to be spot areas of chip shortages, to which Intel has taken on as stewards of this industry, leaders in the industry. We've taken on our part in investing. We've announced over $80 billion of global capital expenditures investments over the upcoming years to address those shortages dead on. We've taken our own factories and done things that the industry normally would do, where substrates, components that normally is in the supply chain, we've taken those in-house because we have factories where we can actually, produce and do things so that we could produce, we could get more output so that customers could do what they want, what they need to do.
Well, that is Intel saying it continues to be committed to the India market, but it's not looking at manufacturing in India at this point in time. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned. The news continues here on CNBC-TV18.